Rick Neuheisel sits down at the table.
Oh.
QB
How you
coach,
doing,
how
man?
you doing?
I am doing fantastic.
all right?
I've never been this close to all this Nebraska reverence and had a smile on my face. Usually
Right.
it's just fear and terror.
Hey, I saw him yesterday.
Yeah.
We were on the same flight from Minneapolis, man. I didn't want to, jam him up too bad. I figured it's over now, though, but it's all good.
Foreman comes up and I go, we can't block you. We can't block this guy. And I'm on green. I'm sitting here. I go, he ran right by me in 95. First play of the game. I think it was first play of the game.
First play of the game.
Yes. I go, did anybody know the game started?
Yeah, your counterpart called it. We're watching. We're the night before. I tell this story. A lot of Husker fans know it, but the night before we do our first 15.
Right.
I'm sitting in the first row taking my notes, and it was a pitch to the left, and he's describing it. He goes, well, Jeff, you take the linebacker out, you cut him, and Brandon Holmby, you're to split in on that side. If you stalk the corner and you get up to the safety and get the block right, like I know you can, then Tommy makes the right read and pitches to Amon, most likely go to you. You just take it down the sideline. I mean, described it just like that.
And then he should have described it. Neuheisel will be the guy with the face that just like, what the hell just
Yeah, so it was like, to me, I get in the end zone, I'm
going
like,
about,
I'm
30
like,
miles an hour. When
yeah, I was full tilt then for sure. But I was just like, oh my God, that play just happened like that. As he described it the night before, just like eerie.
Listen, Coach, you weren't the only one. I was over there trying to get some Gatorade because that altitude was on your boy Jay Foreman. I'm like, man, AG, we got to go in there early. But, Coach, we appreciate you stopping by. I know it's you're pretty busy. Obviously, about the transition from with Nebraska.
Sure.
I want to know. I just want your opinion. The Scott Frost thing has been beat to the pulp. We couldn't even probably throw that piece of meat on a grill. Tell us what you know about Matt Rule, what your expectations are, and where you can see him possibly taking Nebraska in a few years.
Well, listen, to say I'm an expert on Matt Rule is a reach. I know of him. He was an assistant at Temple when we played Temple in a bowl game while I was coaching at UCLA. And so he and Al Golden were part of a staff that had taken a program that was down.
Right.
I mean, basically cast off many times over. Conferences didn't want Temple and so on and so forth, but they found a bunch of kids that were fine that wanted a chance, and they put them together and they built a team that actually made it to a bowl game.
Right.
We played that team, and as I looked at them on the hoof before the game, I'm going, holy smokes, there's a bunch of good-looking players there.
Right.
So he knows how to assemble talent. He did the same thing at Baylor. We know all the nightmare that went on at Baylor, and the expectation was that it was going to go down. As a matter of fact, it started 1-11, right, in the first year that Matt was there. But very shortly thereafter, he's got him in the Sugar Bowl. So he's going to know a couple of key things. Number one, he's going to know the love affair that Nebraska fans have with their program. And he's going to parlay that into as much advantage as he can. He's going to know how to assemble talent, which is the absolute key, right? It's not It's not X's and O's, it's Jimmy's and Joe's, right? We can win with all sorts of offensive and defensive schemes. We got to have the players that fit those schemes. So he'll do a good job of that. And in an era that's different than any of us lived through, right? With name, image, and likeness and transfer portal and all that kind of stuff. I think he's conversant with that, having been in the NFL, right? Because it's a free agency. We're in the free agency. So he's got a lot of experience. He's got, I think, the kind of mental makeup that likes these kind of challenges, having gone to Baylor in the situation they were in, having the Temple deal. Those experiences, to me, make up for a guy that is trying to take Nebraska back to a place where it's more familiar. It is shocking to me, guys, sitting here with the greats that wore the Cornhusker uniform, that we're talking about a program that is revered as Nebraska has been in the world of college football that hasn't been to a bowl game since 2016.
Oh, who are you telling?
I know.
That's boggles the mind, but that tells you what kind of change college athletics have gone through and how people have handled change is in a variety of ways. And the way Nebraska has handled it, at least in the early portion, has been a struggle to find their footing, to get the guys like yourselves to be a part of the Nebraska program. And I think Matt Rule realizes all that. I'm sure when he was talked to Trev Alberts about the job, They had a master plan as to how this was all going to unfold. Resources are clearly there. I was just in Nebraska a summer ago with my son. He played and he was trying to make the Corn Ferry Tour. And the first stage was at a little golf course right there, Quarry Oaks. Yeah. And so I'm the caddy. So I said, I want to show you Nebraska. Yeah. And so we drove to Lincoln, and there was a fella there, assistant athletic director, took us in the building, took us on the field. And I'm remembering where Mike Rozier, lapped UCLA twice for his Heisman Trophy, and I'm going through all these memories and just this nostalgic trip down one of the great programs in college football history. And we need that program back. College football needs them back.
Station ID real quick, Nick, if you would, please.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. The home of Kansas City Royals baseball. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Coach, big news, obviously with UCLA and USC coming in, obviously in a year. You know UCLA well. You know the ins and outs and what they're built on. And, you probably keep a keen eye on what Coach Kelly's doing. How do you view the addition to the Big Ten? Is it good for both parties?
It's fantastic for both schools. It's sad for me because I'm a
tradition.
I'm a Pac-10, Pac-12 guy, and that the situation was such that they thought that was the best move for them, and it clearly is financially. And they're joining the big boys of college athletics. They're going to, and when you start thinking about UCLA, Nebraska games or SC, Penn State games, those are romantic matchups. People are going to clamor for those. So you can understand why the business people in college athletics all said this is a match. The sad part is, as we're watching this, the chessboard of college athletics move towards the Super 2. And if you're in the Super 2, you're not saying it's a sad story. You're just happy you're in it, right? Yeah. But the sad part is we have nobody that has the job description to say what's best for college football and college athletics in total. They have the job description to say what's best for our conference or our school. And with that being said, no one will give up an advantage that they currently hold.
Right.
And the Pac-12 can't have crocodile tears over this because Pac-10 at the time had this Rose Bowl, which was spending off more money than anything else, and they weren't sharing.
Yeah.
So people say, hey, you're getting what you got, what you deserve. But at the end of the day, the college football fan should be a sea to shining sea deal, right? We should keep them all engaged, which means we should keep some regional conferences and keep it alive. The college football playoffs made a great move to get to 12 teams because that will even the chessboard of recruiting a little bit. But this move towards the Super 2 scares me because I think we're going to lose some opportunities for young people.
I wanted to ask you about the Pac-12 as we know it now. Where do you see that going? Because I think, everybody thought the Big 12 was going down. The Big 12 made a little bit of a comeback. Do you think the Pac-12 can do the same?
Jay, until we hear of a TV deal, I'm nervous.
Yeah.
Because if you're the Big Ten, if you're Tony Petitti here today and you're sitting there going, okay, UCLA and USC are in, that's great. We got to help them out. They can't have to travel across the country every time they have to travel. Let's get a couple more from the West Coast.
Yep.
And Oregon and Washington seem natural.
Yep.
And I know they're interested in coming. Cal and Stanford fit the academic profile. I know they were kind of down as football programs right now, but they've had their heyday. To me, that's just a natural.
True.
And if you're sitting there as George Kliavkoff right now as the commissioner, Colorado is being rumored to the Big 12, Utah, Arizona State. And we know Brett Yormark has been, actively pursuing them from the Big 12. It's an interesting time in
sleepless nights.
Yeah, sleepless nights and then some.
It'd be weird that I know
like
there's
me
transition.
The night before playing Nebraska.
You had some great players, though, man. I think that,
we had some great games.
Yeah, great games, great players.
17-12 in 1996, 16-14 in 1998. I think 27-24 in
97.
97
came down to the last fourth down play.
And we had that onside kick, too. Ben Kelly had that in his hands.
It was
we had it.
That's why he's a defensive back.
Not that I remember.
But that's why
that's the glory of it, right? They were memorable, and we aspire back to that. But Coach, I want to ask this thing that happens. It's on the plate for Matt Rule, is to walk into a storied program and to try to rebuild it almost from scratch.
Yeah, I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous of his opportunity. I mean,
so describe that opportunity for the fans.
He's got to have of what has to get done today calendar, right? It's small victories.
Yep.
Small victories of accountability in the locker room, people doing the right things, small victories of coaches teaching the fundamentals that you want taught, small victories of seeing incremental increases in accuracy of a quarterback or, bench press for offensive linemen, in terms of footwork of offense. All those they're all small victories before you get to the scoreboard. And then, the situational practice, the getting all these little details so that when it's crunch time, everybody's doing it exactly right. It's not an accident that a clock drive goes down the field and scores late in the game. It's because you practiced it over and over again. And eventually, as you keep pushing in that regard and keep assembling the kind of talent that's to win championships in a conference as stacked as the Big Ten, eventually all those fans will take them even the next mile, because those fans are sacred. You have something that others can't even fathom. What's the number now? 382, 84 consecutive sellouts.
Yep.
I mean, it's a phenomenal place to play. Even if you're wearing the opponent jerseys, it's a phenomenal place to play. And I'm jealous of the opportunity that he has, because putting that together and knowing what's at the end of the road when you get there, with the way that they're going to feel like we're back, right?
Right.
A fan base is going to feel like we're back where we belong, which is amongst the elite. That's going to be a special time for the Matt Rule staff.
What do you say to Nebraska fans about a potential annual relationship with UCLA and Nebraska? What should they expect to make the regular trip?
The UCLA Nebraska games were fantastic. They were tough to win. I remember Charles Arbuckle breaking a tackle and going for a touchdown against Nebraska back in the early 90s, and I was like, we're going to win this game. We never beat Nebraska, but that was a special day for Terry Donahue and the UCLA staff. But that game's a fabulous game. The Rose Bowl's an iconic stadium. Memorial Stadium's an iconic stadium. They're part of college football lore. The kids that play in those games are going to remember them for a lifetime.
Rick, we'll let you go right out here. We got the most important question.
All right.
Since your son plays golf, I know you got your golf clubs. Jake right there is a +1 or 1 handicap. I'm like a 9 or 10. How's the golf game?
My golf game's strong.
Yeah.
I'm a 1.
Yeah.
I'm a 1. My son is a +4.
Right.
We've got 3 straight father-son victories at the club that I belong to in Arizona.
That's awesome.
He does most of the work, but we're on the board at least.
Nice.
I love the game.
Right.
It's my competitive fix.
Right.
You can't get out of this business
100%.
and not have to find something way to compete.
Right.
It's just so I'm an old guy that hits it not very far, but I can get it up and down.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's why I'm looking for golf ranges in Lincoln right now, so I can get my game there.
There you go.
I don't have that game right now.
But when he connects,
go out to Corey Oaks, man.
You'll
have some fun out there.
Coach. When he connects, it's gone.
Well, he connected that day of going down the sideline. I know that.
Well, we appreciate you stopping by.
Fun to be with you, fellas.
We're on pleasant terms now, right? We're not competitive.
Go Cornhuskers.
And we appreciate your insight.
And how about Colorado and Nebraska getting to kick it off again this year? That's going to be fun.
Just like old times.
2 programs trying to find themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah. They'll find themselves. They belong in the conversation. That's
Fingers
for sure.
crossed.
You boys enjoy.
We appreciate it.
Great having you, Coach.